color palette. I'm not going anything fancy here, I'm just using one of the default color palettes in Aseprite. We need 3 colors. Alternatively, you can do this with 2 colors, but I'm choosing to go with 3 for this one. You might only use 2 for like a background or something that you don't want to draw a lot of attention to. We're going to take the middle color, and for this, I am drawing my texture in the shape of a rectangle. The next step is texture. We're going to use the shape as a mask for our brush. So select this color, and then I want to grab the middle color is my secondary color, so that when I right click, that's the color that goes down, and choose the darker color as my primary color. Then with our brush, choose an adequate size brush relative to whatever you're drawing. I'm going to go with about 7px here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to simulate a wood grain pattern. So I like to make broad kind of strokes here, and I alternate between the primary and the secondary color so that the secondary color erases the first color. And I just build this up like this. Now it can help to look at some reference photos of how wood grain is. There's a lot of wood grain in my house, so I kind of have a good feel for how it looks. And what we actually want is we want these varied widths on the line. At least I do. It looks more realistic and it makes it interesting to look at. Then we can select the middle color again. We want contiguous turned off. And then I'm going to grab the highlight color. And I'm going to make my brush a little smaller. I'm going with 4 pixels now. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of repeating what I just did, following the same sort of contours, just now with a highlight. So this is a little bit too high contrast for me, so let's go ahead and select some different colors. Actually, I already did the work here, so I'm just gonna use the colors I already have. Then I'm gonna give it a little outline. That was a pretty good pass for roughing in, but the last step would be to clean this up and go in, because you'll see there are some artifacts that were created in this process that a pixel artist would usually try to avoid, such as these sort of orphan pixels. And there we go. I think that looks pretty good.